All right, and good afternoon to everybody joining us here for a special live stream as we come to you here, as we get ready to recap what has happened here in the last half hour. The FHSAA has made some announcements here. Some announcements I wasn't sure if that was ever going to come through or not, if we were going to see some changes or not, but we are getting some changes to the 2024 high school football season of what's left of it here. And we got a lot to break down, a lot to go through here. And thank you for joining us. If you got a question, got a comment, wherever you're watching us from, be Facebook, YouTube, Twitter /X, hit the comment box. I will take your comments, take your questions, address anything that y'all might have in terms of what's going on here, in terms of everything that has happened here over the last few weeks. I know we've had Hurricane Helene, and then we just had Hurricane Milton last week. I know a lot of people are still recovering, not just from Helene, but also for, dealing with Milton. So it's been a double whammy for the Sunshine State, and we totally understand what's going on here. And again, our hearts and our thoughts, our prayers are out to all of you dealing with and recovering, and with the cleanup of everything that is going on right now due to Hurricane Milton and to Hurricane Helene. And again, I know that the recovery process is going to take a very long time. And at least it looks like we have some answers now from the Florida High School Athletic Association of what the rest of the year is going to look like. Given this is all, I say this with the biggest grain of salt possible. Take this as alternative, because we've got Invest 97 now sitting out there, and that is a storm we will have to watch, because it's going to go into the Caribbean. And then after we're into the Caribbean, the next question remains up in the air, and we can't let our guard down, because as Craig Damon, the executive director of the Florida High School Athletic Association, said, we could be back here in a week or two with another press conference again. So, just keep that in mind, that everything that we talk about here could also be changed again if we end up with another hurricane. Pray that we do not have another hurricane hit Florida for the rest of the 2024 high school football season. So let's kind of get into it here. Kind of question here. Hey, Zach, glad you're asking that question, because I'll actually go ahead and address that here. So we'll be back to a normal slate of shows, but we're not going to go the normal schedule this week. What we're going to do is we're going to kind of flip things around here a little bit this week. So Tuesday, we're actually going to keep our normal Tuesday shows on schedule. So while South Florida the South Florida Blitz and the North Florida Blitz tomorrow night, the South Florida Blitz will actually start at 7 o'clock now instead of 7:30. We're going to move the North Florida Blitz up to 8 o'clock. That way we can do 45 minutes of shows for both of those shows. Then we can do the Drive the State show following behind that with the latest playoff rankings. So we're expecting the playoff rankings to be updated regardless of the games that are made up today and tomorrow, that they will be updated tomorrow. And we will have the latest playoff rankings for y'all then on that way. And then what we're going to do Wednesdays, we'll do the Central Florida Blitz and the Gulf Coast Blitz as these areas kind of come back online. The Gulf Coast is going to probably be the most iffy area from Pasco County down to about Sarasota, Charlotte counties. There's a lot of areas still, schools are not back in session right this second. So, and there's still a lot of power. There's still power outages right now. There's still fuel shortages. There's food shortages. We also have got river flooding going on in a lot of areas. And so we're not sure what's going to happen with the Gulf Coast just yet. There's going to be some teams that are able to get back online and be able to play. Some are not going to be able to get back online right away. Some haven't practiced in over nearly a week at least. We're given the preparation for the storm. So again, there's a lot going on here in terms of everything that we've got to be prepared for with the rest of the season. And the storm has definitely changed a lot of that. And we're just trying to do our best here to get back on a normal schedule. And also having to deal with car insurance. Unfortunately, I had an auto accident about a little over a week ago, and having to deal with that. So that has been, that's part of the reason that stacked on top of the hurricane last week, why we didn't have any shows last week, but we are going to get back to a normal schedule starting this week with our shows here, and be some adjustments coming with FloridaHSFootball.com over the next few weeks as well. So just stay tuned for all of that as well. All right. So We appreciate everybody joining us here on FloridaHSFootball.com and the FloridaHSFootball.com social media network channels. So again, if you've got any, if I can get this to come down here, there we go. All right, if you got any questions, comments, questions as we go through stuff, again, hit the comment box, whether you're watching us on Facebook, YouTube, X. As we go through this, we're definitely going to talk a lot more about what's going on here. So you're going to see a scrolling banner here on top here, on the bottom here. So we're just going to kind of go through it. All right. So there have been some adjustments to the FHSAA fall sports schedule. Individual sports minimum requirements have been waived. The volleyball district tournaments, which start this week, those are going to be flexible. So they're going to kind of expand that out a little bit over the next couple of weeks. But I know the biggest part y'all are here for is what's happening to football. And right now, as it stands, the regular season for all teams will now be extended through November 7th. So Wednesday, November 6th, Thursday, November 7th, teams will have that ability to use that window to make up games. All right. Now, again, they're encouraging teams to make up games whenever they can possibly get it in, but this is now a window, a new 6-day window, basically a 5 to 6 day window teams can use now to be able to reschedule some games, be it their district game, be it a non-district game that, really, is going to weigh heavily and impact teams along, whatever it may be. Whatever it may be in terms of a non-district game or a district game, is that all district games have to be completed by November 6th at this point. So what the FHA wants to do here with this is have the district games, have all the games finished by November 7th. I'm sorry, November 6th and November 7th. So getting those games in by that stretch of that from the window from what would have been the end of the regular season on November 1. Now there's now that open period right there that you can be able to reschedule games in that window to make up any games possible. And I think I want to say that the minimum game requirements are going to be waived as well. I'll have to verify on that because I thought they may have said something on that, but I'll have to go back and look at it. But right this second, the minimum game requirement, I think that it's going to it could come down to a team by team case basis, depending on how they can reschedule. Again, there's still some school districts that are still not back in session. We don't know when some of these school districts will actually necessarily get fully back in session. And from what I'm reading, like Pasco County, they're going to be having a teacher planning day tomorrow. So it looks like schools are going to maybe be able to go back in Wednesday at the earliest, which, these teams haven't practiced in over a week. So we also don't know what the week 9 schedule is going to look like here because we're making up games from week 8. Obviously, there's about 50 games going on tonight in the state being made up. And then there's some tomorrow as well, but we don't know what the week 9 schedule is going to look like necessarily. So again, a lot is up in the air here. And but as of right now, the regular season has now been extended through Thursday, November 7th, and then no games on Friday, November 8th, with the anticipation of the FHA releasing the playoff brackets on Saturday, November 9th. So that's what we've got going on right now in terms of the teams in the playoff brackets right now, with everything that is going on here around the Sunshine State. So in that particular part. Now, we did get some answers regarding, state championships, what's going to happen, what is that potentially going to look like. We finally got some better answers today. And first, we'll start with the Rural State Championships, Friday, December 6th. That's at the Villages. The B Bracket Championship will be there as well. So there will be a B Bracket, A Bracket Championship. Looking at those two things, what Craig Damon said, the tentative timetable right now is a 1 p.m. kickoff, B bracket, 7 p.m. kickoff that night for the A bracket. So that's for the Rural State Championships, Friday, December 6th at the Villages. And now, how did we get here in terms of having this with the added bye week, and moving that common bye week up to allow teams to make up games? Well, that's because it was already apparently built in, and that's what the state championships, the Class 1A through 7A state championships that are now going to be tentatively played at Pitbull Stadium at FIU. It's tentative right now. The agreement the agreement's in place. They just haven't signed said agreement, which is why it has not been officially announced. So it's pretty much like it's open news at this point on this particular subject that the state championships are going to be at FIU at Pitbull Stadium. And it's just a matter of the agreement coming to being signed. Now, again, if we end up with another hurricane here that ends up impacting the state again here in the next couple of weeks, all bets are off. Things are going to change. So just warning y'all now to keep this in mind. We still have another 6 to 7 weeks of the 2024 hurricane season. Hurricane season does not end until November 30th. So we have to keep this in mind. Remember, 2 years ago, we had Hurricane Nicole impact the state, and it impacted the start of the playoffs for the regional quarterfinals that year. All right, we also had Hurricane Ian, which was right before that, and during right in the middle part of the season, around week 6. So we have to keep these things in mind that we're not out of the neck of woods of hurricane season yet, and these late October, early November hurricanes have started to become more commonplace as of the last few years. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as well. But to get to this with the Class 1A through 7A state championships at Pitbull Stadium and on the FIU campus, so games will actually be spread through 4 dates, with starting Wednesday, December 11th, one game, likely a 7 p.m. kickoff. And then we're looking at Thursday, December 12th, Friday, December 13th, and Saturday, December 14th, with 2 games each on both of those days, a 1 p.m., 7 p.m. kickoff likely on both of those days. And that's not to jam the schedule necessarily, and I think that's a good thing that we're not talking about jamming the football schedule and the state championship schedule for down at FIU, and being able to not, where teams are not having to jam and get out of the stadium real quick and get ready for the next team to come in. I think this is actually a good way of kind of going back and then trying to make sure that they're 2 games a day. I think that's realistic instead of having to try to play 3 games a day, which is what we had happen at FAMU last year, was 3 games a day over Friday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's like, okay, first game 10 o'clock, boom, 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 and it's rapid. It's basically rapid fire. So, and then another question: is Ballard going to broadcast the games again? I cannot say yes or no to that because I actually have no idea if that's going to happen or not. But my understanding from out there, potentially, could they be? Yes, potentially not. Also the same scenario. So again, we just don't know yet. Those are questions that are going to have to eventually be answered at some point. But it seems like there's been this delay, but again, it's the delay of an official announcement. Basically, it's been talked about since before the season started that FIU was a potential site for the state championships. FAMU, there's been some change in administration there. I think that's part of the reason why you're not seeing the state championships return back to Tallahassee. I know it's one extreme to the next extreme when the state championships are in Tallahassee one year, and then the next year they're going all the way down to Miami, except for rural, which is going to be at the Villages. Honestly, I think at some point that all the state championships will end up at the Villages once the stadium at the Villages at least exceeds a 10,000 seat stadium capacity. Right now it's at about 6,000, 5,000 on the home side, 1,000 on the away side. Right this second, until that happens, which is probably another 3 to 5 years off from even being a thought. And that also includes hotel availability in the Villages. I don't see the that happening at this particular point. But and I got a comment, I got a message in here, and it's asking, why the thought that FHSAA tell people this a few weeks ago. Well, here's the thing, and I think now maybe I listening to the press conference. Some of these things that, being able to hear this and being able to, okay, so what's going on is that some of this, if they had told us, after Hurricane Elaine, not knowing what, that Hurricane Milton was going to show up and do all the damage it did, I think that would have caused more chaos. And maybe now, because of what we've had 2 hurricanes in 2 weeks' time, that now we're in a situation that basically is, okay, we've got to make some changes. But now that those changes have been made, it's not to say that, okay, we have a 3rd hurricane that impacts the state. that changes everything again. So again, that's why I said at the start of all this, got to take this with a grain of salt. This is to actually handle this. Take this all with a grain of salt in terms of being set, put everything as tentative on the calendar, I should say, because we don't know if this is going to stick. Even Craig Damon said, again, we could be back here in a week or two if, say Invest 97 develops into a hurricane, comes out of the Caribbean, enters the Gulf, and ends up taking aim at Florida. We don't know what's going to happen. We're still in a unknown situation. And we don't even know how week 9 is going to play out for some teams in these areas that are still, again, recovering. There's been gas shortages, there's been food shortages. There's a lot going on. There's not enough fuel to get buses to drive teams around, to even do the normal school pickups. It really can be an issue for school districts to complete games. I mean, football will be the furthest thing away to be completed when, the educational side part of academics, it's not even being able to be fulfilled because there's issues and there's shortages going on around the state. So again, a lot going on here, a lot that is happening here over the next few weeks. Again, we'll kind of recap and review what we've got here. There's been adjustments to the fall sports schedule. Individual sports minimum requirements have been waived. Volleyball district tournaments, for those follow volleyball, those are going to be flexed out a little bit so that way, teams in impacted areas are not having to stress and struggle over everything that's going on. And the regular season for all teams extended through Thursday, November 7th in high school football, with the playoff brackets scheduled to be released on Saturday, November 9th. So when it comes to Saturday, November 9th, I can tell you right now, our tentative plan will be, once the playoff brackets come out, we'll process the playoff brackets, and then we will do a playoff bracket breakdown show, preview the matchups, everything for that, with a special Drive the State show based upon that information. So, again, I don't know how the FHA is going to handle processing the playoff rankings on that Tuesday coming before Thursday, November 7th. So Tuesday, November 5th. Those are some questions I will ask the FHSAA here. And actually, I'm going to go try to schedule an appointment with Craig Damon myself and have a sit-down conversation about some of these things and to discuss some of the stuff that there's some questions. There's been some people that have questioned some things. And, we like to get some answers. And he wants to be transparent. I believe he wants to be transparent. And, the opportunity to have a sit-down conversation with Craig Damon, I will definitely be able to be more than happy to take that and be able to talk to Craig about some of these things that are going on right now here in the Sunshine State. So from, yes, my understanding, Bobby, thank you for your comment here. Thank you for the question, actually. So you can use the extra week for district games. That is my understanding, is that you can use the extra week for district games because, again, there's teams that are along the Gulf Coast that have district games because some of them are in a 5-team district. So they had district games sitting there week 8, week 9, week 10. Well, some of these schools haven't played in over 2 weeks' time. They haven't had a practice in over a week. There's no way they're going to be able to make up that week 8 game to be ready for week 9. So they're going to need that extra week to make up that district game. It's just that everything has to be done by Thursday, November 7th. So last final games, Thursday, November 7th, Friday, November 8th, everything is verified, checked out. And then Saturday, November 9th, the playoff brackets will come out. So that is the way I understood it, taking it from spinning on that call, the Zoom call and the press conference and listening to that and asking questions and all of that for what we have here. But again, there's still a lot of people were upset, maybe, potentially not having an extra week. Now they have it. It's been built in. Again, the state championships, as we go through that, again, the Rural State Championships, as you see there on the screen, B bracket, 1 p.m. on Friday, December 6th, A bracket championship, which will be the actual state championship bracket, 7 p.m. My understanding is I asked Craig Damon about this in the press conference. It's most likely, since right now there's 34 teams in rural, what it looks like is there's going to be 16 teams A bracket, 16 teams for the B bracket, and then they're just going to let them play it out. The 2 teams that get left out of the bracket of the B bracket most likely will be given like a bowl game to kind of make up some games here. And we'll see what happens there. Maybe play like a bowl game or something like that. Maybe those two teams play a bowl game or something like that. I suspect that bowl game eligibility requirements might be actually kind of loosened up a little bit too. But again, we've got week 9, week 10, week 11. We got 3 weeks left here. So technically, at this particular point, if we have another hurricane strike Florida, or even say a very strong tropical storm strike Florida that delays things, we could be back in this situation again in a week or two, talking about more changes. So again, everything tentative at this particular point here. State championships right now are scheduled to be at Pitbull Stadium. It's tentative right now. The agreement is in place, but has not been signed officially yet, according to Craig Damon. But as it looks like right now, there'll be games on 4 days: Wednesday, December 11th, Thursday, December 12th, Friday, December 13th, and Saturday, December 14th. And the game kickoff will be most likely at 7 p.m. on that Wednesday, then 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, Saturday of that week. Also to note, that week is also going to be the week for the FHSAA North for the FHSAA North South All-Star Classic at the Villages. All right, I know the last few years it's been usually kind of been scheduled around with the state championships and usually like kind of spread out where it's a Sunday through Wednesday type deal. They're going back to the normal schedule this year. So as it stands right now, any players that might have been from eligible teams that are in the state championship games most likely will not see their players be part of the FHSAA North South All-Star Classic this year, which I know it's a tough out. And I know for us, we usually go down there and cover that game every year, but state championships are going to take precedent, obviously, because that's our first prior point of coverage is covering the FHSAA state championships. And that's what we'll do is have those is the coverage of that. Planning on how we're going to coordinate all that. We're going to be looking at needing sponsorships to cover that because it's a long hike for us from Gainesville down to Miami, and especially for 4 nights. We're looking at four nights of games, and because it's a 5-hour hike for us, we're likely going to have to come down on a Tuesday to do this so we're going to be looking at least 5 nights of doing coverage. So we're going to have to, we'll talk about that later as part of our playoff coverage and what we'll need for sponsorships and all that to be able to cover the state championships in South Florida this year. And again, I know that our South Florida friends understand that, hey, it's a hike going from Miami to North Florida and from North Florida all the way down to Miami. So we get that. And, but again, the state championship games, starting Wednesday, December 11th, going through Saturday, December 14th, 7 games over 4 days. Schedule a little bit more spread out, which works in a lot more favor for the teams, not having to be rushed off the field after the game to get ready for the teams to come in and get out of there and all that. So there's a lot going on there for that. And then, as I said, looking at this, again, it's something that, a lot of people wondered if this was going to happen. Well, it has happened. The regular season has been extended out by a week here. And definitely glad, to see this, the teams that are going to be able to, extend their season a little bit, make up some games, make up a game or two. That way, these guys are more prepared going into the postseason. And Charles R. Bell says, hopefully this will be the end of the storms that Florida gets. We need a break once November rolls. Normally you don't see storms, which would be great. And we don't get any. Yeah. I hope we don't get any either, Charles. I really, really don't hope we get any more storms. But as it says here, let me see if I can pull up something here. Let me see if I can do this while we're doing this on air here, because there should be a way I can do this. Let me pull up the NHC as we're doing this. So we're just coming to you live, recapping everything that has happened here with the Florida High School Athletic Association, everything that has happened in terms of the changes that are happening for the rest of the 2024 high school football season. And let's see what we've got out here. Yes, I want to say, okay, now let me see if this is not what I'm thinking. I'm trying to see if we've got, okay, yeah, this is me. Yeah, so what I've pulled up here right now, as it looks like, the only thing that they're concerned about right this second is there's this it's 94. It's Atlantic 94L. I thought it was in Invest 97. It's 94. And right now they're giving a formation chance of 7 days, medium 50% right now. So they're looking at this potential wave coming into the Caribbean. Once it enters the Caribbean, that's the next question, is what does this look like? And, again, there's a lot there that can happen over here over the next week or two. And honestly, again, looking at it, there's a lot that's going to happen. I want to pull up Mike's weather page because I like Mike's weather page. A lot of y'all follow Mike's weather page, I believe, too. So Mike's weather page, he's put in pretty good source. He's been pretty spot on about some things here, and some talking about some things here. And yeah, Invest 94 up to a 50% chance to develop heading into West. The question is that once it gets into like Puerto Rico, where's this area go? Where's this storm going to go? We don't know. Could it come to Florida? Could it go into the Caribbean around in the Gulf and come up? We don't know. So again, a lot happening here. The biggest thing I want to say is that, yes, things are changing. Regular season extended by a week, by a 5-6 day window. And it's, again, a lot saying thing. I'm going to pull this latest forecast, say a cold front plus high pressure building, and we'll keep it away from the state. And I honestly, it's it's a TPG. I'll be honest with you. That would be the best news possible. We don't need any more disruptions. We don't need anything else happening here because a lot has happened here. A lot is going on. And honestly, I can't take any more of it because it's been stressful enough as it is. I mean, this weather has been really stressful, and to get prepared, here we go. One storm, and then here comes the next. It's like deja vu all over again. It kind of gives me flashbacks to 2004 when we had Charlie, Francis, Gene all come across the state within 6 weeks, and then you had Ivan that went up through the Panhandle all within a 6 to 8 week window. And never mind that people forget to mention Tropical Storm Bonnie that year. Bonnie came across the Gulf, the northern end of the Gulf, and crossed North Florida right before Charlie hit Fort Myers and Punta Gorda. And then, of course, we had Francis Gene obviously made circle landfall right around the same area around the Treasure Coast weeks later. And again, it's just giving me flashbacks, deja vu all over again to 2004 with the way the storms have popped up so far this year. But hopefully things will kind of quiet down. I really, really wish things would just kind of quiet down here. In terms, I'm trying to find a good sound, like maybe just I don't know. Hopefully it's like this. Yes, some crickets. So, yeah, that's what I want. Crickets. But yes, with that said, we again, just to kind of recap real quick, again, the regular season extended by a 5-6 day window. Last day, Thursday, November 7th. The FHSAA is going to verify everything. Max Preps Friday, November 8th. Saturday, November 9th. We'll get playoff brackets. We'll have a big playoff bracket reveal show and all that. We'll talk about everything with the playoff brackets, break it down all for you that day on Saturday, November 9th. And then the first round of the playoffs, the regional quarterfinals, and the first round of the rural bracket playoffs will be Friday, November 15th. So that's what we've got looking at in terms of what's happening with the state championships here. The playoffs, I should say, the state series over the next few weeks. And, of course, the regular season, week 9, 10, 11. These are the remaining weeks we got. But now you have an extra week 12, to make up some games here. And then, of course, the state championships, the Villages for Rural, December 6th. And then the December 11th through 14th, that'll be at FIU for 1A through 7A. And there was a question, a comment about depending on, who gets to play that Wednesday game, will they be able to play their state semifinal game? The state semifinal game, they may be able to, what classification gets put on that Wednesday, may be able to play that game like Thursday, that week instead of playing on Friday. That way they have an extra day to prepare for the state championships. And Anthony Roof says, man, listening to you, I do know my way around the Sunshine State. I'm good at geography. I will admit that. So I know, pretty much how to, get from point A to point B without getting lost most of the time. So unless there's a new development that does not have a map yet, then yeah, I suspect anybody to get lost, even the most trained in terms of geography. And but yes, again, just a lot happening here. We just, again, take everything as tentative right now. Take everything in terms of, like the things could change here, especially if Invest 94 develops and even remotely threatens the state. But as it means what they said, the latest forecast saying a cold front plus high pressure. Hopefully that's the case, and we can avoid having another hurricane hit the state for the remainder of the 2024 high school football season. Again, been unprecedented times here. A lot happening. Again, I know this is something new, that the built-in bye week is here. There's some extra days, extra time to get playoff games. I know people asked for it years past, like 2022 when Ian hit Fort Myers, 2018 when Hurricane Michael hit the Panhandle. 2017 when the entire state was impacted by Hurricane Irma, and we missed about 2 weeks of games there. Again, a lot that's happened, a lot that, we can't go back and undo what's happened in the past, but I'll tell you this, it's definitely worth keeping an eye on and trying to roll through this here as we roll along here. But with that said, we're going to wrap up this press conference, the FHSAA press conference recap. And we will have our normal slate of shows, but not on the normal nights. This week we will have the South Florida Blitz, North Florida Blitz tomorrow night, along with the Drive the State show. Those are that's their normal time, their normal night, but we're moving the time slot up. We're moving the South Florida Blitz up to 7 p.m., North Florida Blitz up to start at 8 p.m., and then we'll have the Drive the State shows starting at 9 p.m. That way we can kind of go over the playoffs, and when everybody is more at home, situated, seated, we can go over the playoff rankings. We can kind of go over what's going on and give you all that information as the FHA puts things out. And then, of course, Wednesday we are going to do from 7:30 to 8:15. We'll have the Central Florida Blitz, and then from 8:30 to 9:15 we will have the Gulf Coast Blitz. We're just putting those times. Those are the times they would air on Monday night. We're just going to air them Wednesday night instead, as a lot of teams start to make up games. A lot of schools start to come back in session, and we kind of get things situated here in terms of what is Week 9 going to look like. As anything, if I have in terms of my master schedule with the season, with the season schedule that I have, I might as well just go ahead and throw that out, because everything is now up in the air in terms of when our game's going to get played, who's going to get dropped, so the district game gets made up, and so forth. So, again, a lot going on here, but again, everything's tentative. Just kind of keep your eyes open, your eyes and ears open, because anything could change at any given moment. And hopefully no more hurricanes. That is going to be the one thing I'm asking for. No more hurricanes. Whoever's got the voodoo doll, please set it down, because I'm done with it. I am done with it. All right. With that said, we're going to sign this off. We appreciate everybody joining us here on our impromptu live show, recapping the FHA press conference of all the changes that's coming along here. And we definitely will see everybody on our Drive the State show tomorrow, the North Florida Blitz, the South Florida Blitz as well. And then, of course, the Gulf Coast and Central Florida Blitz on Wednesday night. If you got anything, just hit us up on social media. Follow us at Florida HS Football. That's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Threads at Florida HS Football, X/Twitter. That's at FLAHS Football. All right, for myself, Joshua Wilson, appreciate everybody watching, and we'll see you tomorrow, starting with the South Florida Blitz at 7 p.m. right here on FloridaHSFootball.com.